This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry. Welcome.
Welcome to the future of kart race preparation, Kart Sim Pro North America. Featuring laser-scanned North American kart circuits and precision-tuned kart physics developed using real telemetry, dyno and tyre data, Kart Sim Pro North America delivers the most advanced and realistic kart simulation experience available today. Whether you're training for race day, refining your lines, or shaving tenths off your personal best, Kart Sim Pro gives you pro-level insight without leaving your home. Trusted by world champions, coaches, and karting enthusiasts alike, this is where virtual practice translates into real-world performance. Experience the thrill, the challenge, and the edge. Kart Sim Pro North America. Use code CHASER20 to get 20% off today.
When it comes to innovation on the track, Odenthal Racing Products leads the pack. From the highly popular EasyGP camera mounts to our tough case to GoPro case, racers everywhere trust ORP for strength, reliability, and precision. We're proud to be the #1 engine mount manufacturer in the USA. And with our new Easy Bumper Retainer System, you won't get caught out with a failed bumper bolt again. Odenthal Racing Products. Lead or get left behind.
I'm standing alongside Marcus Kayak. Marcus, just take me through yesterday. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, your second or third time here at Newcastle, but the conditions certainly haven't been favorable, and you've had very limited time in the Formula K.
Yeah, it was my second time here, but last time I drove, the track was the other way around. So yesterday was the first laps in the dry. So considering this, I think we did quite well, but there's still some stuff we would like to change and try, but we don't have time for everything, so yeah. Now we're trying the warm-up and then we have the final.
So last time you were here, you sat on the pole as well. Is there anything you learned, what was it, 2 years ago, that you could apply to now to kind of try and improve?
Not really.
So tell me about today. We're starting out a little bit damp. The track definitely not going to be anything like it'll be later when it's going to be 90 degrees sunny. What are you going to learn in this warm-up? Is there anything you can learn?
Trying different setup on the chassis, just to get what work, and then we change something for the final if we need to, and we'll see. For sure it will be difficult, but we will see.
All right, thank you, Marcus. We're going to go to Nate Dean and Justin Prince in the booth.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Currently in the midst of our morning warm-ups here on Kart Chaser. We hope you're enjoying today's action so far here of USPKS, the Indiana Grand Prix, as we are in the midst of a bit of a mist that's been hitting the racetrack here this morning. It's going to be an interesting day here, Nate, to say the very least. Right now, X30 Junior brought to you by Speed Concepts on the racetrack. We've seen plenty of intense racing yesterday, including some very out-of-the-blue rain spike rolls that hit during the later portions of the day. But it's going to be an interesting one for finals day to battle for the true trophies.
Should be an interesting one today. X30 Junior on track right now. Marco Samet leading points pre-drop. You can see there close for first, second, and third. Tristan Murphy, Travis Pettit not too far behind. Bit of a jump till Nathan Golseth and the rest of the challenging pack. We've talked about it a lot. Marco Samet improving over the past month, having Travis Pettit as a teammate, and that's showing.
Absolutely, and remember, this at one point before the superheat had been a tie for up to the top of the standings, but it's been an interesting one with the way the battles have gone in this class, especially with drivers like Lacio trying to pick up in terms of just being disruptor, if you will. You had drivers like Jackson Porter up in the front of the superheat, but over the course of the weekend, we've seen how consistency has been important if you want to battle for a championship. And right now, some of our top drivers in this series for this class putting together some solid warm-up times. Now, the big thing, as they have a couple minutes of preparation to go for, as talked about with their interview previously, This track's still a little bit damp, as you can see, so there is the chance some of the rubber got washed away overnight with some of the rain showers that hit during the evening hours and throughout the course of nighttime conditions.
Yeah, a little bit of that rubber will have been washed off overnight. Still some of it remaining, though. It's going to make it a little tricky at the apexes for these drivers, but again, some of the best in the nation on track, and especially in the paddock this weekend, so nothing they can't handle.
Absolutely, and keep in mind when it comes to just how things could get sorted out here with the way the race has gone. We've seen for some drivers, it's been, especially in the mid-pack, the battle to try and make sure they keep everything clean. There was a few pushback bumper penalties that happened over the course of yesterday. In total for the superheat, at least 3 alone. They also had one of those penalties actually overturned for the 744 in terms of those. Grayson Walcott, who got himself to 10th position from that in the superheat. So really, remember, we've seen a lot of intense fighting, but it's going to be so critical to make sure you stay out of trouble if you actually want to get the big points, since this is huge for your championship. And better yet, if you want to finish well for the race, you better make the passes clean. And we've seen some of the drivers like Nico Katowski here be one of those who's been pouncing with opportunities up towards the front over the course of the weekend so far.
Yeah, he's been within range to strike for the leaders, contesting with it for a couple of times. Yesterday, Pettit and Samet still seem like the favorites if you had to pick going into today for this class, but of course can't count out Katowski or TKG, and what they have to bring. The Burrell Art package always seems to find something on Sunday, so we might see the same today.
Still have about a minute or so to go in this group, by the way. Right now, these drivers, it's worth noting, amongst your first few in the board, the first 4 drivers with about 8 points in the heat points. Such fun during the grid later on today. You had Garza Palacio, Samet, Katowski, Murphy be consistent. Pettit got bounced around a fair bit. But one of the surprises, I think you could say, that will be having to work the way through in this class, maybe Colton Sneekenberg, because in the X30 package, it's been a bit of a battle for him so far over the course of the weekend. He's going to be one of the drivers to keep an eye on if he potentially moves up to the pack later on and is a part of, say, this Floria side-by-side that might pop up during the racing in itself.
Yeah, and I mean, drivers maybe using this a little bit is just gauging racing with other competitors, know where they have advantages. I mean, the main thing in this warm-up for these drivers is just keeping it on the track. It seems like most of the time the striker flag falls. Most of the time for morning warm-ups here, it's always a little damp. The track is tricky, so keep those karts on track, out of the grass, just to get a good baseline of what you have. You're not learning a whole lot for long run pace in these sessions, but it does give you a good glimpse of what you're going to be like at the start of the session and off the line.
Now, as we finish up this group, Lucas Palacio having the fastest time out of the group here in the RPG camp. Ended up with himself up to the top of the board. That was the previous run through for those who just took part in the minis. In comparison, you see the pace difference of a few seconds between those two classes. Nico Katowski was second in this warm-up session with Calderon, along with William Vitor, Travis Pettit amongst those in the top 5. Samet amongst those in the top 6. Vega, DeGeneiro, Sneekenberg, Walcott, top 10 on pace. Murphy down the order here. But some teams, you have to wonder also, yes, some of them might be trying to test out the setup side, but others might think, make sure the equipment survives to get to that final once we get to that point. Also, there's a good reason, spin off the racetrack to start off for Din as we move on to K100 Master and Supermaster.
Exactly not what you want to do. Of course, the pit lane is very damp, not as dried off as what you see here on track. So cold and wet tires definitely making an issue for these KA Masters coming off the grid. Really easy to do that with just how tight pit lane exit is here. Simple mistake, easy for him to get back on track. So nothing much to worry about other than blowing the cart off once you get back off track.
Now this class, Pretty simple. The top 2 drivers in this class are for the Masters and Supermasters, Mike Rollison and Mario Barrios. They both pulled away from the pack by upwards of 9 seconds in the superheat earlier on in the weekend on Saturday. They also have won each of the races upwards of a couple seconds, except for Heat 1. Mike Rollison, that was the one race where he had Adam Kreppen keep close to start. Then they made the adjustments for the second heat and ran away with it. Now it's the huge question mark for today. Who makes the changes to make sure they can keep up with the RPG camp? That's the huge part, because those two have absolutely put the stamp on this field.
Yeah, they're going to need a lot if they want anything to do with the battle for the lead in either Master or Supermaster. We saw just how many seconds up the road the Masters were between Mike Rollison and Mario Barrios. So it's going to take a huge swing at it, and who knows if anyone's going to be able to bring it to the RPG guys.
And I'm very curious potentially how things go over the course of a championship battle too, because of course when it comes to this series, some drivers took part in the opening round but are not here for the second round. Some here are for the second round, not for the first round. Others are here for both rounds. So the championship in amongst itself could take some interesting twists and turns here, Nate, in the first place, because Mike Rollison is one of the couple that's been here for both rounds on the season so far. When it comes at least to K100 Masters, for some of the other drivers, it's going to be potentially a game of catch-up if they want to have an opportunity here, you have to think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for some of the drivers, championship talks will be brought up today or after today and be looking at it to wonder how you're going for the second half of the season. But really, for most of these guys, it's just about race wins right now. Championship isn't really on the minds of a lot of these drivers in the paddock. But there you can see standings pre-drop. Mike Rollison leads by a decent amount over Byron Daly, who is not here this weekend. Paulo Alfonte is 242 behind. It was Randy Klemek, 245, not taking part again today after that flip we saw yesterday. Recovering well on site in good spirits, but just choosing to take out of this one. But I mean, you see, Justin, it's just such a big gap for anyone to close up to for Mike Rollison.
And remember, a lot of the drivers in the Men's Championship board, some of them were local to Trackhouse or to that region previously. Supermasters, that's a different championship we'll talk about Arrow Point. But on different notes, let's send it down to Grace Overbeck. She's down trackside, is caught up with some of the drivers.
Thank you, Justin. Yeah, I'm here with Katie McQueen, and we haven't been able to catch up with you yet about how your weekend's been going, so can you kind of give me a little recap?
Into the final and have what we've been missing.
And I know you're not a part of the X30 lineup here this weekend, but you've raced against a bunch of these guys, and you know how the competition is. So what is one piece of advice that you could give them going into their warm-up and their final later today?
Probably drive as fast as they can.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, that's kind of the goal. You don't want to be, I want to drive at 5 miles an hour today.
Yep, cheers for that one, Caden. Yeah, I mean, obviously those guys not wanting to give away too much, and it's pretty straightforward. All these guys and girls on the grid know what they got to do today. Just pedal down, make it through what's going to be some interesting finals, which are long races. Of course, a lot can happen. Just got to keep your nose clean throughout most of it and make it to the end. And then once you get to those final 3 laps, like we saw with Caden McQueen, Sean Butcher, and Paulie Massimino back at Trackhouse and their battle in the X30 class, then you can really go for it.
Now, it's important to mention for those jumping in and tuning in, there is a note for the schedule here today. We do have one B main that will be a part of the coverage today because one of the classes got above 44 competitors. KA100 Senior, we've seen that session warm up earlier. That's going to be an interesting talking point. I think it's worth mentioning now because when we get to that point, 13 drivers will have 4 spots up for grabs. Those competitors have some intense racing later on. Now, different note, Grace is back alongside.
Yep, back here with Davin Roberts. And Davin, I wanted to catch up with you. During the first heat, you had kind of a scary accident there. Can you tell me about it?
I mean, I'm not really sure quite what happened there still. I mean, looking back at the video, I guess Blake got under Jake and Jake tried. Just wrong place at the wrong time for all 3 of us. So, I mean, it's just a racing incident. We fortunately were able to move on from it, all 3 of us. So we'll see how later today goes.
And I know that that's probably not how you wanted to start your weekend off, but how have you been able to grow from that so far?
I mean, the first heat showed that we had the pace to be up there to fight for the win. But unfortunately, that put us on the back foot for the rest of the weekend, really. And starting 13th yesterday for the super heat definitely hurt a good bit. So now we're starting 8th, so we'll see how it goes.
And going out for this warm-up, a part of the track is still a little bit wet, which is probably going to be different of how our final is going to be later today. So what are you expecting to learn from this warm-up?
I mean, you can't really learn too much from this because we go out in like 3 or 4 hours after this, so the track's just going to be completely different. So this is really just to shake down the kart, make sure everything works properly. So that's really all it is for me.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
That is a huge part of what the warm-ups are, and it was talked about. Well, it's going to be interesting how the weather forms up the rest of the time, but the checker flag already waving on the session here. Coming up in the next moment, you can see, or at the very least, the flagman testing out the checker. Regardless, as drivers finish up here, Barrios actually got the fastest lap out of all the groups there. Rollison was next up. Those drivers were upwards 3/10 quicker than Adam Kreppen on back on the board. But Nate, we still have the big practice sessions coming up. We have the Pro Show machines, you have the X30s, and you have the shifter classes. Now remember, for the shifter classes, they're going to get split up later on today for those competitors. So you have the Pro shifters that will be on their own to close out the day when they go 20 laps, compared to the shifter masters and super masters who go 18 in a bit. The next pack is on track though, and there's a lot to talk about when it comes to what we'll see from these drivers. It's expected to stay competitive, Nate.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw it a lot yesterday. A lot of drivers showing pace to run up front. A lot of drivers running up front and battling for the win. It's hard to figure out which one is going to be the driver to take the top step, because I mean the level of competition this weekend is so high, and of course Newcastle is a track that most of these drivers have a lot of laps around, so they're very used to it, and the times get a lot closer between each other. So, I mean, obviously we have the likes of John Antonino, who's won here at Newcastle just this year. Blake Nash is always quick. Weiland showed a ton of pace, but we could see a couple drivers like Finnegan Bailiff, who seems to be having a weekend where he's stepped it up in the X30 category and has been showing some serious pace.
Yeah, these X30 pros put together some interesting racing action so far over the course of the weekend. But one thing to touch upon that's going to be interesting is going to be how these drivers fare with the championship, because coming into this weekend, Paulie Massimino, of course, had the advantage with the strong run at Paulie's house, if you will, and Trackhouse. But now, over the course of the weekend, it's been an interesting one with drivers like Jake Drew with the new look. You had Blake Nash trying to charge up for the back. A lot of the drivers Massimino has came into the weekend battling against for that championship, to say the very least, have had to fight a lot of attrition, to say the least. And some of the drivers didn't take part for the starts this weekend, like Sean Butcher.
Yeah, a few drivers like Sean Butcher, like Caden McQueen, who we were just talking about not taking part this weekend. Here you can see standings pre-drop, gives you an idea of just how far ahead Paulie Massimino currently is over Jake Drew. Again, Jake finishing in second after being cycled to the rear of the field at Trackhouse. Nash, Roberts, and Sean Butcher, who is in here, is your top 5 as things stand. Of course, pre-drop. I mean, Justin Pauly's been so dominant in 125 competition. He's been up at the front of pretty much every race. It's been a step up for him from his 2025 program to 2026, and sitting in a good spot right now.
Absolutely, and for a lot of the big names that are racing up at the front to start off this weekend, for Sunday at the very least, should say, a lot of them didn't take part in the first round either. So there's going to be a lot of shuffling by the time we get to the end of the third round of this season for this series, because some of the drivers here, Ryan Raff has been amongst those trying to battle up the positions. We've seen Adrian Otto's trying to find up some ground. It's going to be a bit of a topsy-turvy run, in being able to make all the races is going to be so pivotal, I think, if you want to compete with Pauly and have the momentum to compete with the BJR that showed just how well he's been driving this year. Pauly has been a force to reckon with start to finish. So on that note here, it's going to be an interesting conversation in regards to who some of the top drivers are going to be over the course of the weekend here, and thinking about things here. And at least you have to think about, at least if you think about a potential pick and the conversation here, Nate, John Antonino, at least to me, is one of the drivers that has had a lot of momentum in that MPG machine, has shown he has been one of the top drivers after moving up into the ranks of the senior categories this year. He is looking steady, third in your warm-up, starting at the front of the field when we go racing here later on today. He is one of those with strong momentum, you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has his teammate alongside him for the start. So John knows how to get it done here. We're going to send it pit lane side to our pit reporters to see who they got going to the top step today.
Yeah, thank you, Nate. So for me, you know, I got to go with Pauly Massimino. I mean, come on. He's been so dominant this year so far. It's kind of a giveaway for him, I personally think. But what about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I think Justin had a good pick with John Antonino, and Nate made the point that his teammate's starting right alongside him. So I'll pick the teammate. I'm going to pick Mad Max Weiland to get his first X30 victory today.
Well, back to you guys.
Good point, and it's going to be an interesting one, Nate, to say the very least.
Yeah, interesting's been the word of the weekend so far, but I mean, for me personally, I looking through this field, a sucker for a good storyline, and I think there's none better than Jake Drew with the RPG Cosmic making his debut this weekend. And if you had to pick one, he's shown pace throughout the heat races. He'll be my pick to win this one.
That's a solid pick, too. I think at the very least, he's in the conversation for the podium with what he's been able to do. And he's showed in the Super Heat at the very least, he can drive his way through to the field. Now the question will be amongst those with solid track position to start off here on Sunday. It's going to be so critical for him to actually lead laps, though, and have a chance to keep some clean racing. Now, we also have a fifth picker, if you will. That will be David Baker. Will be down trackside. David, haven't heard your voice on the broadcast yet. Your thoughts, David?
Thank you so much, Justin. Today, I'm going to tail Kyle's pick. I'm choosing Max Weiland. MPG's has great success here at our last race here at Newcastle. And he really thrived yesterday in the chaotic X30 with that red flag and everything, showing great pace in the dry. And if I know one thing about X30, it's going to get chaotic. So I think he's going to be able to thrive through that and get the win. Back to you guys.
Good to hear David on the mic here this weekend. I know he's got some solid experience previously. Now, in the final moments here of this warm-up, Max Weiland at the top of the board. Looks like a steady pick, seems to at least got the cart at least sorted potentially on what it needs to be at for leader today. Antonino, Massimino, Donovan Bonilla is one driver we didn't touch upon in the pick of either that might have some decent speed. Also, that 301's been pretty solid here as the weekend's gone on. It's gotten stronger and stronger.
Yeah, Donovan's never one you count out, and especially back on an RPG package that he knows so well, has won some of the biggest races, not the biggest race in the United States with that team on this engine package. Dono seems like he's getting his momentum again this weekend, and the driver that we've seen the past couple of years that maybe hasn't had the pace or the luck going his way. Have a 2024 Donovan Bonilla back finally here in 2026. Obviously P4 in warm-up right now. 5/10 off at the same time on a wet, damp track. It's probably going to be some different conditions to what we see later on today for the main event. Checkered flag in the air. It's the same two that will be leading us to the green, and John Antonino and Max Weiland topping the timesheets.
Tortano also jumping up the order in the last few moments there in part of the shuffle. That gets him up to 5th, right behind Massimino. Roberts down at 6th. Phillip, Nash, Adrianos, Drew are part of the top 10 in this warm-up session. Again, this class brought to you by RPG here this weekend. Your USPKS competition. That leaves us, once all drivers peel off the racetrack with just one warm-up to go. They'll all make sure there's no issues in tech as they make sure their setups get all tuned up for when they go racing later on in the afternoon, when the temperatures expect to pick up at least 10 degrees or so, and we'll see about if the clouds stay above. Humidity expected to stay high. But these drivers will have to figure out one thing, though. It's going to be who's going to be able to get the best tire life out of their machines, and better yet, the best long run speed for 20 laps. They do racing. So as we get ready to go here in this next group, and the final drivers we take a look for in this session, 19 took part in X30 warm-up sessions. It's time for the shifter classes, and remember, again, and to note for those missed the note earlier on, they will be split up later on today. The Shifter Masters and Super Masters run a 2-lap less race with their 4 total karts, but the Pro Shifters themselves, they're going to have an interesting one with 20 laps of racing to close out the weekend around 1 o'clock-ish here today. That'll be a good battle for upwards of 30-plus minutes. Adrian Renadin, remember, came into the weekend as the points leader, still keeping that advantage. It's going to get interesting with the Carbolos, that 3 of the top 4 spots coming into this weekend, into this race, rather.
Yeah, Carlos and that team have been strong with that engine package. Of course, Justin White having a strong weekend at Trackhouse for round 1, struggling a little bit this weekend here at Newcastle, putting him 128 behind championship leader and race winner back at Trackhouse once again. Adrian Renadin looks fast again this weekend here, Justin. Gavin Bailiff a little bit far back just from the DNF that he had, not putting him in a great position. The likes of Jay Irwin, Mateo Pappas not making the trek over, also with Finnegan Bailiff and Charlie Stein. So 5th through 8th drivers we had at Trackhouse not here this weekend. And Marcus Kayak, to be expected, 7:04 behind, completely missing the Trackhouse round. Don't believe he'll be running the full season, but again, you can just look to the top and see how dominant Adrian's been. That minus 128 to Justin White is showing how.
Absolutely. It's time to mention who the opportunities and picks potentially could be, and at least we know one thing's for sure here, you can argue. Adrian Renadin, over the course of this weekend, has showcased some pace, especially when the track has been wet. He's been one of the drivers that showcased as well. He's got solid pace on long run. If he's found the way to match that in the dry with Billy Musgrave, who's under the same tent this weekend, he has a strong opportunity to potentially come up on top here. I don't know what the others will have to say on that, but Grace, Kyle, what's your arguments on who you feel could be strong when it comes to Pro Shifter?
Yeah, thanks, Justin. And I'm actually going to take this one very seriously. We actually made it out onto the track to really get a good idea of what we want these picks to be. And, you know, my mindset is, you know, this is the United States Pro Karting Series, and 4th of July is just next weekend. So I wanted to pick the driver that makes me feel the most patriotic, and that's got to be Billy Musgraves. I mean, he's the American hero, for real. So what are you thinking?
Well, I agree with the patriotic, right? I think you have to pick an American this close to 4th of July, but I'm going to go with the guy with better hair, Gavin Bailiff. Look, he's got power this weekend with SRP. He's been fast. He had a little bit of a struggle in the superheat yesterday, so he's not going to start as far forward as he probably should, but I think he's been knocking on the door all weekend long, and if we know anything about Pro Shifter when it comes down to the final on Sunday, it's going to get chaotic. So I'm kind of just picking Gavin Bailiff to A, be fast, and B, I think he'll survive the chaos.
Well, I think you're wrong about 2 things there. No, sorry to cut you off, but I think you're wrong about 2 things there. First of all, you can't beat the afro, okay? And second of all, I think you're just wrong. I think Billy Musgrave's got this one.
I can't argue with the afro. Back to you guys in the booth.
He actually got a haircut, by the way, this weekend, Nate, so he doesn't have that anymore.
Yeah, lost a couple tenths with the afro, as we all know. Afro Billy Musgrave is a quick one. They brought up being close to 4th of July, all this and that, America, patriotic is the next person. What you know about Estonia? Marcus Kayak has come so close on American soil to getting a win on numerous occasions and has shown pace at some of the biggest events in the United States. I remember standing by with Kyle in Vegas last year, seeing him lead laps, ultimately to come up short. He's a driver who's been working hard at the programs that he's been on in the United States, whether it was on a Tony Kart, a Maranello, and now a Formula K. I'm going to pick Marcus Kayak to be on top of the box today.
Solid pick, to say the very least, and it's going to be interesting what David Baker has to say, who does have racing experience. We've seen in the broadcast that we've covered here on Kart Chaser. Now, as we get set for David, let's send it down to him.
Hi guys, thank you JP. Yeah, I'm not so into all the American stuff. I mean, I'm very patriotic, but the Europeans have been lightning fast this weekend. And I'm thinking I'm going to tail JP and go with Renedin. He's on the Carblos motors, which have been fast all year, fast across all competition, and there's something different about him. In that last heat in the rain, that was quick, and I think he's going to be able to thrive today. Back to you guys.
Again, a solid pick, potentially. It's going to get interesting, the long run pace, though, with the dry, because that's where the Musgrave pick can come into play, because he's been able to find the pace, who's been busy fine-tuning the motors, a part of that camp here, trying to get the data, trying to get more track time also for racing action coming up here at this facility in a couple weeks in our series. So really, it's an opportunity, at least for the Carvalho side, to put a stamp on their ones in this series for this respective class, for what they've been doing in the program. If they're able to survive and at least accomplish the goal of a 1-2. And don't forget, you have Justin White also in the mix, maybe saying, can we get a full sweep of the top 3?
Yeah, Justin will be one to look out for. He's always fast, just struggling a little bit this weekend, a little uncharacteristic for Justin. But, I mean, Adrian Randon at the very front of that field, it is hard to pick against him. I'll give you that. Getting a win here at Newcastle Motorsports Park last year and a handful of other wins on the year. He's been quick on American soil in the past year or so on that SOTI package. So hard to pick against him. Same too with Justin White on screen and the Carblos teammate, at least for this weekend, Billy Musgrave.
That's the final minutes or so of this session. Gavin Bailiff is still at the top of the board. For those just jumping in here, he's got himself pace by about 1/10.5 over Adrian Renedin, Justin White, Billy Musgrave, Eli Fox. Current top 5. Godric down in 6th position as we turn our final laps around the racetrack before we see the checkered, and before we peel off to pit road and get ready for some main racing action to find out who joins the full grid. K100 Senior. There is the checker flag. Musgrave jumps up to the top of the board at the very end with a 1:01.831. That is a 10th quicker than Gavin Bailiff's time from TKG. So, Musgrave in the Carvalho's 10th this weekend ends up streaking to the top. Kayak jumps to the 3rd position here in this group. So, final thoughts before we go racing to start off Sunday and find out who joins those in the final later today with our B main.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of classes are going to have to deal with a wet and drying track like we saw yesterday. Pretty close conditions, but as the track dries out, we'll have to see how the racing goes and how the track evolves with more rubber being put down.
Think so. As you see everyone heel on down. As we get all set to go, K100 Senior gears up. It's time for B main racing. Action coming up here on Kart Chaser.
Karting isn't just speed. It's control, precision, freedom. At Atlanta Motorsports Park, Kart Freedom isn't just a team. It's where drivers are made.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month.
Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and 0 sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico, made with natural ingredients, organic caffeine, and supports your metabolism. Try the new official energy drink of Kart Chaser.
Hey, what's up, Caleb? What's up, Brandon? You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
But you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Welcome back, everyone, to today's coverage of USPKS Racing, the Indiana Grand Prix. This is KA100 Senior, presented by BJR, and it is the B main. We have 13 drivers that are looking to qualify their way in. Nate, let's look at that grid.
Yeah, Felix Katch lead them to the green. You have Ramilla, Webb, Ward, Savage, Joseph Hewitt. One to look out for to make his way in. Martin as well. Skamata, and scrolling through the grid, Freddie Siemens, Lucian Laser, final two. They'll be leading us into this B main here for KA Senior.
4 drivers will make it to the feature race. Later on today, they only have 10 laps to get inside that top 4 cutoff. The difference between making it to the main directly and being in the B main for catch was 0.7 of a heat point. But we're ready to go racing here before we go behind the wall for KC Premium. Let's find out who will have a chance to battle for trophies later today. The engines rev up, the drivers go zoom. We're underway from Newcastle. And the outside got a much better launch than the rest of the inside line. Already 3-4 carts for the outside making the move.
Yeah, outside line getting a pretty even launch, but since the dry line is more so on the outside going in, having dry tires on turn in, seriously helping 907 of Ramilla in the Hoax driver development cart. So out to the lead, it's exactly what he needed to do, and to try and build some gap. Top 4, like you said, Justin, advance, and there you can see those top 4. So the battle for 4th is the transfer spot. You already see that's highly contested.
As you would expect here, you want to at least have a chance to race for the big points. Have an opportunity to help yourself out position-wise, and better yet say, I made the main event. Don't have to go home at least a few hours early. Right now, top 5 or so group up. One of the Formula K's wanting to qualify their way in, making some moves. Yet again on the pass. Now we're making a move up the inside. A part of those on the shuffle inside the top 4. Still battling out for the transfer spot. First time through. Catch amongst those trying to get the spots back. Catch couldn't make the commitment though in the turn 1. Was a little bit too tight.
Yeah, a little bit of a swerve there from the 913 as well. That'll be looked at. I know USPKS does not like side-by-side contact down a straightaway. So we're looking at the video review on that one. The top 5 now all right there on each other. A little bit of contact between that 913 and Joseph Hewitt. More battling as that 926 of Felix Catch getting by for the transfer.
Catch able to hold on for a moment, but how long does that moment last? Catch, mind you, someone that has appeared in some of the Apex Midwest competition action, raced in the Carolina GP also, came away in 39, so he was one of the drivers who was a part of the A-Main last time he appeared in the series. Already building a giant cushion for the transfer though, and contact! He spins out! Catch makes contact with a 3rd place Hewitt and spins himself through I-70 as the leaders now fight.
Yeah, more contact going on for now what is the transfer. That's heartbreak for Catch. 980 up the inside. AM teammate pointing forward. They're not going to want to work with you here. You're fighting for the transfer, but that's heartbreak for Catch. That was a self-spin. Just went way too deep into the braking zone in I-70, and that's pretty much game over for him.
Don't think I've seen someone do that here this weekend in terms of contact where they spin around themselves. We've seen bumps that have risked pushback in the corner. In this case, he got right underneath the 985's bumper.
Yeah, I mean, not much else to say. There's a cart in front of you, and you got to give him a little bit of room on this early stage of the race with the wet track and not knowing braking zones. It's good for Joseph Hewitt that he continued from that. That would have been fortunate if both carts got taken out, but still for Catch, it's going to be a learning moment for him, but still for this weekend, that's unfortunate for him and the team.
So again, the Prodigy Motorsports machine Webb was scored last time by on the bubble. How long will that shuffle? We'll find out in a moment. You can see some of the drivers like Ramilla feeling some pressure now because 3rd is being contested. The point forward is on from Laser. Laser now up into the top 3, and losing Laser races a fair bit around this region. Now he looks to try and get the charge and hold on with Ramilla. Now on the transfer bubble spot. Here comes the send from the Formula K up the inside. Back and forth we go for 4th.
Still battling a little bit of contact there from the Hoax cart and pushing the Formula K wide in the double rights. The bumper really being used throughout most of this field. Justin and PKS officials going to have a busy one with this field of 13 carts. A lot to look after.
And already, remember, the Prodigy Motorsports camp, just a couple races as a team here at this facility. They would like to probably get another card in the field. Already have one of their drivers locked in. Gave a message to one of the mechanics there, asked, how's your morning going, essentially? And what they said was, We're doing great. We have one card in the show, and I've already had my first energy drink of the day. You know, there's a lot of positivity in that camp. It would add a bit more if they make this pass here with the outside run this time. Webb got the chance, takes the chance for fourth.
Yeah, around the outside, obviously having the outside lane going to turn one is an advantage right now for these drivers, and showing Burrell to the inside, a little bit of a defense there, and gonna get the move done at the apex, but still contested side by side.
A little bit near contact, it looked like, with the bobbles there, as Noah fading back before the halfway point, still getting some squeezes. That signals of pushing forward, trying to call, we have to work together if we want to get back to the transfer spot here. The more they fight, they risk not making the show outright.
Yeah, the more they battle, the more you're going to have that chance to either make contact with each other, slow each other down. That's the real risk here, is they're just allowing Webb to drive further and further up the road. They're contesting to see who's going to be the one to bring them to them. Obviously, all three of them thinking they're the fastest in that group. And more stuff like that, guys. None of you guys are going to be in the transfer.
Remember, we talked about Savage trying to find confidence in the dry. He needs to find a way to get up there. He's now wants those going forward to the cross flags. Some of the leaders were squabbling also. This time a squeeze, another off track and a spin. This time it's Ramillo off the track. A second time around, we've seen a driver go around with contact.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we were saying, don't want to, put too much of a point on it. But again, it's for a non-transfer spot in a B main. You just have to work with the drivers around you, figure it out quick. And here's a replay of it. Savage to the inside, has contact with the Holtz and the Formula K, dropping a tire, one hand on the wheel, and the Holtz driver going for a spin. Just unfortunate for him, but yeah, I mean, what else can you say about it?
We'll say this one note you seen with the dip tire in the grass, there was a giant puddle there, where normally with the karting side, we were talking about this last time we were racing here at this facility. It's not as big as, say, a Formula car or a sports car with the divots that pick up the grass. It just so happens that one little bump area coming to the curbing out of turn one, still filled with a lot of water.
Yeah, I mean, at the start of the weekend, that's something you can get away with, but it goes on and on throughout the weekend, very similar to what you see at like turn one at Sebring. A huge divot is made there, and by the end of the weekend, if you drop a tire there, and especially if it rained overnight with the amount of water, it can be lethal for your chances in a race.
So we're down to the final 3.5 laps of racing. Hewitt, Laser, Ward, Webb still inside the top four. Savage, though, is starting to chip away the gap. Savage last time by was 2/10 quicker than Webb. It is nearly in drafting range and has a partner in one of those Macron machines. So there's a great chance here for Savage if he can get there. Can he charge up is the huge question. In that TKG, it's going to require work, and there's a lot more now. He's in the grass again.
Yeah, mistake from Savage going wide like a lot of drivers have in scoreboard, just misjudging it. They might have a chance to catch Webb by the end of this race. It's 3 to go this time by. Webb will be having a sinking feeling, seeing two karts closing in to them. I mean, you just got to get the head down. If you're Webb, don't really change anything you're doing. If they catch you, then you got to trust yourself and have confidence that you're able to race them and to move yourself into the show.
Under 3 laps to go, and now Scala trying to find a way to chip away the gap. One of the drivers we haven't talked too much about, part of that Macron camp, one of a few competitors there, part of the new chassis switch and new partnership we talked about for this team. It's worked out pretty well for some of the other drivers. They're now within drafting range, and we've seen already a lot of moments for this 913. It's going to get interesting how things go under review for things, but for now, there is one focus on the mind of that driver. Get there. Taro is there and to the rear end for the transfer.
Yeah, Webb, most likely, if you're him, probably going to start defending a little bit. He's going to go to the inside, sees the Formula K on his inside. Something falling off, could be a GoPro. Depending on what USPKS rules are, that could come down with a harsh penalty. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but we'll leave that to be speculation for now. It's 913 Formula K in the transfer.
Yeah, not sure which kart they may have flown off of, but it looks like at the very least for Webb's GoPro still on there. But right now the 913's back of the transfer, was in the top 4 previously. Remember the first few laps of this one. And now we'll look to try and on the track at the very least get the gap built up. Savage has also driven up there though, and has gotten within draft to potentially, if anything was to happen amongst the top 4 spots, try and get to the insurance spot after that. Savage on the push, last time by half a second quicker than Webb. The 913 was another half a second quicker than that though on that original pass lap. Now as we come into the final time around in the B main.
Yeah, one more lap to go, one more chance for Webb to get another Prodigy Motorsports best kart into the main event. No move happening into turn 1. Going to wait for his moment and just not really close enough with a little bit of a dip on the outside of turn 1, getting that right rear a little wet. It should dry itself off at least by now and able to go and attack, but that's going to halt his progress for the rest of the first half of this lap.
And not a little momentum built up right now for Webb, it feels like, in this machine. Still holding on to a 4-car length difference between the two of them. This as well. Scala tries to hold on and pulls off and away. Final times around here. Hewitt has stayed up at the front of the field with Laser, along with Ward in the respective pack. Down to the final sector goes the transfer battle spot. Webb hasn't chipped away the gap yet. Needs a huge one, needs a massive one. Isn't coming up as much as he needs it to happen. Got within a couple kart lengths up through I-70, but up at the front of the field just ended with Laser taking the B main race over Hewitt and Ward. The transfer holds on to the 913 again. Results unofficial with how wild things got in this race.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look at pushback bumpers, video review, and all that. So very unofficial from what we saw on track, but provisionally, Lucian, Laser, Hewitt, and Ward, your top 3, and then the rest of the transfer we'll be looking at to see what comes up after that. There you see unofficial results from the B main of K100 Senior.
And so that brings us in towards the preparations for the big races, the finals. In the next few moments or so, it should be interesting what we see amongst the longer distance races now, but a few of these competitors already discussing things on the grid in amongst itself as they look to talk over how those battles went here in this B main. Interesting race to say the very least again here to start off this day. But of course, we're going to see a lot of transition by the time we get to the afternoon. So now, it's time to take a quick break. We come back, we'll get all set to go for the races. Be sure to sign up for KC Premium today, $9.99 a month, if you want to be able to keep up with all the finals, not just here, but across the nation. It's time to go racing in a few moments. You're watching Kart Chaser.
Are you stuck with your kart racing? Not sure the ideal kart setup? Or going to a track for the first time? Well, Kart Class has the answers for you. Our online portal has a wealth of experience and knowledge to help your kart racing. From kart setup advice to track guides that are targeted specifically to your circuit, or the driver coaching aspects with mindset, racecraft and driving techniques. If you want to take your karting to the next level, visit us at kartclass.com.
Motorsports builds champions every day, drivers who won on the world stage. The Tillotson T4 Series is pure spec racing. Same engine, same chassis. When you win, it's because you were the best that day. Your edge is not the kart, it's the setup, the strategy, and the race team. With our Arrive and Drive program, you simply bring your gear, we provide the equipment and the championship winning support to every event. Stop wrenching, start racing. Your path to the T4 Nations Cup in Spain starts with us. For more information, contact us at macromotorsports.net.
Champions aren't just born on the kart track. At SimShop, we deliver professional-grade simulators with the best performance-to-price ratio in the industry. Founded by racers who understand what you need, our SimMagic and Moza equipment is powerful enough for the pros, yet affordable for everyone. With unmatched customer support and a thriving community, we're your racing partner. Visit simshop.com today.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tag?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
You gotta make weight. Okay, you're good.
Sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle.
How the f*** did you just win? Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.